Hello and welcome to Hank Games Without Hank. My name is John Green, and in a stunning turn of events, it's raining in England. I'm the manager of the AFC Wimbly Womblys, who today are taking on York City in the John Stones Paint Trophy, a.k.a. the knockout competition where we start our B team. So please say hello to Jack Midson and Mr. Green Eggs and Sheringham, who will be playing up front, as well as we got P. Sweeney there in the middle, and Hell's Pels, and at the back we've got Buckminster Fuller out on the wing, etc. Okay, today I'm going to talk about the Hunger Games. Big movie, Catching Fire, just came out recently, I guess on Friday. And I haven't seen it yet because I'm recording this in the past. It actually is Friday, so I haven't seen the movie yet. I'm going to see it this weekend, though, probably. Get it? Oh, I wanted a bigger finish from you, Hell's Pels. We actually have a song for you, but you didn't. That was a terrible, terrible, terrible finish. I reviewed the first book in the Hunger Games trilogy in the New York Times Book Review, not to brag or anything. So they put my name in the book, in the back there. It says something like brilliantly plotted and perfectly paced, which I believe. I mean, I love those books very much, all of them, but particularly the first one. I just think it's a really important important book in the history of YA. It was a book that imagined a dystopian world that was also an extremely contemporary one, kind of the most contemporary dystopian novel I think we have. And I thought it was really special. I hadn't seen a lot like it, and I still like it very much. I liked the first movie as well. People are always a little hard on it because it was jumpy or whatever, or because they felt like it obscured the violence or it embraced the violence. You know, there's all kinds of things that people feel about it. I thought it was great. Obviously, Jennifer Lawrence carries the movie in a lot of ways, as because she's freaking awesome. But her performance, I thought, captured what is so profoundly weird about Katniss's relationship with the world, which is that we like to think of ourselves as identifying with the protagonist of a novel, particularly a sci-fi or fantasy novel. You always like to think of yourself as being similar to them. You know, like we're all sort of Harry Potter. You know, we all suspect that the letter from Hogwarts might come any day that establishes us as special and says, like, all the stuff that you've been going through for a reason, you know? The fascinating thing about the Hunger Games, and there is certainly not the first dystopian book to do this, but I think it does it really well, is that it asks us to empathize, obviously, with Katniss, but it also reminds us that we, or at least the vast majority of the readers, are more citizens of the capital than we are citizens of one of the districts. We are more in line with the behavior of the people in the capital, the way we dress, the way we watch, the way we consume media, the way we, eat, than we are with the people of the districts. And that is that's like a very uncomfortable thing, and I thought it was captured really quite well in the first Hunger Games movie. But the great genius of that movie, because it is visual media about visual media, is that I thought Jennifer Lawrence's performance really captured how profoundly weird it is to both need the support of these patrons in the Capitol and at the same time really resent them, and how weird it is to need PETA so much that you don't know if the feelings that you have are real feelings or not, or if it's really about just needing to stay alive. I thought that was nicely done and very discomforting in the movie. And that was all down, like Jennifer Lawrence had to do 100% of that work, and I thought, oh God, Mr. Smith doesn't go to Washington. I thought it was done very well. So I'm really hopeful for the Catching Fire movie. I've heard that it's nice and dark, which is how I like my dystopias. And I'm sure that Jennifer Lawrence is excellent in it, and that the boys are too. I like both of them a lot. I can't remember their names. What are their names, Meredith? Well, I know the names of the characters, Gail and Peeta. I meant the names of the actual boys. Liam Hemsworth. Whose fiance is he? Miley who? Cyrus? They dated? I'm just behind on this stuff. Oh, you know who's not behind? Green Eggs and Off the Post! And there's Franco! doing the robot. He's doing the robot. And then it's a very aggressive, quasi-romantic hug from Green Eggs and Sheringham. Oh, it's just a beautiful finish. Just a beautiful finish. Oh, yes. Oh. Gorgeous. Gorgeous. I love it. Oh, man. That made me very happy. Nice goal from Francombe. He doesn't really have a name yet. We got to work on some of the backstories and the names here, guys. I know it's mostly down to me, but anyway, I really do like. Yeah. So I love the Hunger Games. I've been a longtime supporter of the series, and I remain a big supporter of it. But I think that when the Hunger Games becomes a conversation primarily about like reality TV or whatever, it's really missing what's most interesting about the series. Because to me, what's really interesting about it is the way that we are all of us complicit in this weird image exchange. That like we're so super saturated with images now and with narratives about various kinds of suffering and various kinds of well-being, that like it becomes like in the Hunger Games in the Capitol, like part of the idea is that like the people of the Capitol don't get the whole story, right? But like what interests me most is that the people in the Capitol ultimately they do have access to real knowledge about what's happening in the districts. They just can't like internalize it. Like they can't make it theirs. They can't accept it. They can't acknowledge it because it would mean tremendous sacrifice. It would mean like a shift in the power dynamic and a shift in who has access to what. And that's something they're not comfortable with. Like ultimately they're not willing to give up their comfort. It's not so much that the government is run by an evil person. It's that the people of the Capitol don't want to conserve power in the hands that in the structure that it currently exists in. That is that's the world in which we find ourselves as well, and the vast majority of us, including me certainly, are kind of complicit in that because we also want to conserve power. And it's really hard not to. Like, it's really hard to accept. Let me give you an example. If you're a straight white male, it's pretty hard to say, you know what, this structure doesn't work. It doesn't benefit the most people in the best way. We should replace it with a structure in which people like me have less power. It's really hard to sacrifice power and control and like the sound of your own voice being heard and say like, no, other people's voices that have been traditionally neglected are important and need to be heard now. I think that's I don't know. I just find that a really interesting problem. I don't have any solutions for it. I think that I do think that it's hard, but like the great moments in human history are the moments where people have said like, okay, I'm okay with having less power. Like we do need a shift. We do need a better world. And that does happen sometimes, but usually it happens because people in the equivalent of the districts sort of force it upon people in the equivalent of the Capitol. And that's very much what happens in the Hunger Games. And what I like about, a lot of the times the second two books get a hard rap, I think, or an unfair rap. But what I like about those two books is the way that they do explore, I think, the way that political change really happens pretty effectively, as well as like the risks and possibilities of political change and the way that there's something about power that's inherently corrupting and just so tempting, that it's really hard to be a good steward. What a great tackle! I don't know who that was, but that was fantastic. It's really hard to be a good steward of power. Like it's hard to be. It's hard to do right by your own power. Oh, another fantastic tackle by Weston! Dang it! Jarvis! I've never liked you. I don't like that. I don't think much of that celebration. It's like gunga 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 gunga. I don't get it. That was a great tackle and then just terrible defending. It was ball watching. We all call ball watching. That's what that's all about. So it's 1-1 in the 78th minute against York City, and suddenly we're in a spot of bother. There's no other way to put it. That was a foul, sir. You broke the rules. I'm going to go ahead and make a substitution because this is not working out. Whoa, these guys are exhausted. You'd think they'd never played soccer before. You know what this game needs? It needs John Green, and it needs some more. I always forget that we have Matt Smith, former Time Lord. It's great. But my thing for him is when he scores, man, I think it's going to be like Mr. Smith goes to Washington. Someone suggested that in comments. I thought it was pretty funny, huh? Yeah, it's current, exactly, because like Matt Smith, he's not famous anymore, but the 1953 movie Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, I mean, that's a perennial. Ball John Green, other John Green! Oh, it doesn't take him long! It doesn't! Do the robot, sir! John Green's ball, another John Green's. They're the best strikers that Wimbledon has ever seen. Oh, what a great finish. I mean, that's just two guys who know each other. They love each other. They spent the first 80 minutes of the game on the bench just watching these guys thinking, I don't want to get in the way of anything, but I could definitely do better. You put them out there, within 2 minutes, they score a goal. Yeah, so I think they're really interesting books for thinking about the way that change actually happens and thinking about kind of like the repercussions of revolution, which is something that we don't consider enough, I think, in our culture. Revolution is so exciting that we don't think about the kind of like risks and rewards of revolution. And I really like the way that's handled in those books. I think that, and I don't think they're cheapened by their endings. I know that I know that the ending of the third book is extremely controversial, but I really think that's. I mean, I don't know. I don't think it's read fairly by a lot of its critics. But I can't say more without spoilers, so I won't say more because I know lots of people haven't read the books, and I would like them to. Oh, was I offsides? Yeah, Bamba. He was offsides. I'm just really taking any excuse to sing that song. It might not have even been him in the end, but I enjoyed myself regardless. 90th minute, desperate times for York City. They try to make an offensive substitution, but it's going to come to nothing. Because let's face it, we're the Wimbly Womblys, and we're here to win the John Stones Paint Trophy, whatever that is. Oh, what a great ball! Francombe! He's got two! He's got two, and he does the robot again! Oh, and he gets a big hug from Ball John Green. This is fantastic stuff. Francombe's had a nice game, you know? That's a guy who doesn't get a lot of starts, but he got his opportunity, and he said, I'm good with my left foot. I can put it up in the top corner of the net. I'm worth paying a little bit more attention to, Manager Green. And you know what? I'm listening. I am. I'm impressed. That was a really good run coming out from the midfield. I like to see that. Who's that a foul on? Or is that just the end? Hey, we won the game! It didn't look good, but then we made a couple of offensive substitutions, and then it's 3-1. We get to move on in the John Stones Paint Trophy competition, whatever. Every time we win one of those games, it's like $1,500, which we can put toward nude players. Thank you for. Did I say nude players? I don't think we should put them toward nude players. I think we should put them towards players in the AFC Wimbledon Wimbly Wombly uniforms. Thank you for watching. Enjoy the Hunger Games. Let me know what you thought of the movie in comments. Best wishes.